Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So I was tested positive for COVID, and in this video I'm going to talk about that. Firstly, I'll talk about the background story, how I found that I was COVID positive, and then I'll talk about the steps you need to take if you are tested positive. After that, I'll talk about my experience, the symptoms I had, and then finally I'll talk about my recovery. So firstly, how did I know I was positive with COVID-19? So the situation for COVID-19 was getting worse in the past month in Hong Kong, and it was spreading really fast. So I had some friends and some colleagues who were tested positive, and although I was working from home, I was still a little bit scared. So I did do the rapid antigen test at home. So I did this test after every few days. So only I was working from home, but my other family members had to report to work. And one day I got a call from my mom that she has been tested positive at work with the rapid antigen test. So that was quite shocking, and then I just told my mom that she needs to come back home fast and then she has to isolate. So while I was telling that to my mom, and then I was thinking about how are we going to do this isolation, and after that I also thought I should do the test on myself again on that day. And then I did the rapid antigen test and I was also tested positive, and that just blew my mind. So that day I did have some things I had to finish up regarding work, so I was trying to finish that up so I could think about my isolation as well. And after finishing that up, then I was preparing to get isolated in our room. And fortunately, my dad and my brother, they were tested negative. So that is how I found out that I was COVID positive. So next I'm going to talk about what you need to do if you're tested positive with COVID-19 in Hong Kong. So the Hong Kong government has released this website where you can report if you are tested COVID positive. So while I was very confused, I knew I had to report first because I did have the test result. Because the website was just released, so many people were sending it to me through WhatsApp. And in that website you have to fill in your information, your contact, and your mobile phone number, your address, and also when did you test positive. And if you are living with your family members, then you have to put the names of the people who are tested negative. So if your family members are all tested positive, then you don't have to input their information with your details. So if your other family members are also tested positive, then they also need to fill in those informations and report to the government. So after I did the reporting on the first date that I got tested positive, they sent me an SMS the next day, and so in that SMS they'll also send a website. So you have to click that website, and in that website you have to upload the proof of your identity card, so which means you have to take a photo and upload it, and with it you also have to upload the photo of your rapid antigen test. So if you test anytime, you should take a picture of your test results just in case, because we do need to either send it to workplace or you need to upload it to the government websites. Right after you submit those documents or the pictures, then you will receive your isolation order. So you'll receive this file, and I did have difficulty opening the file in my mobile phone, but you can open it through desktop or some Android phone as well. In the isolation order, it says that if you have taken 2 vaccines, then you should take the rapid antigen test on the 6th day and the 7th day of after you have tested positive. And if you get a negative result on those 2 days consecutively, then you have served your isolation and you are free to stop the isolation. But if you have not taken 2 doses of the vaccine, then you have to stay isolated for 14 days and do the testing until you're tested negative. So because I have actually taken the booster shot as well, so I have taken 3 doses of this vaccine. So I was just going to test myself on the 6th day and the 7th day. After 2 days of reporting to the government, they sent me another SMS which says that the transportation will be arranged for isolation, They just sent me a text, but I did not get any call to move away for isolation. So I did hear from other people that if you're an elderly or if you have severe symptoms, they are going to call you and take you to the government isolation facility immediately. For me, I just received a SMS only. So after 5 days of the reporting, then I got an anti-epidemic kit from the government. So for this kit, the person who was delivering first called me on my mobile phone, but because I was resting that time, I had a missed call. And fortunately, he called again after 30 minutes, and that time I was a little bit awake and I did pick up his call, and he said he's here to deliver the anti-epidemic kit. And he just left it at my door, and he said you can pick it up after 5 minutes, so that he will just go away and then I can open the door and get it, so that there is no contact. And then after a few days of receiving the anti-epidemic kit, I also received a text message saying that the government has launched a system where you can text them your symptoms and then they're going to give you some advice, some medical advice. So let me show you the anti-epidemic kit. So because my mom and I were tested positive, so they sent us this packet, and then it has a booklet which is a handbook for persons tested preliminary positive. And then inside the package, they also sent you a thermometer and also this Chinese medicine. And also they sent me testing kits inside here, but I have already used up all of them. And this is for people who are tested positive. So because I did inform the government that my father and my dad were tested negative, so for them they sent another anti-epidemic kit. So this one has a booklet and it's the handbook for 14-day home quarantine, and inside there were also some testing kits, which is also all gone now. So that's the system right now to report to the government if you are tested positive on the rapid antigen test. So next I'm going to talk about my experience and my symptoms. So firstly, the first few days after testing positive was really bad. And on top of that, I was on my period, but fortunately it did not affect my period, and also it didn't make it any worse. So after testing positive, I started isolating myself and I was taking this medicine. This is for cold and flu. So fortunately I had this at home. And before I was tested positive, that was the time actually people in Hong Kong, they're starting to do panic buying. So I was still fortunate I could get my hands on this one, and those were the last one I could get. Most of the medicines were all sold out and I couldn't find any cough medicine that time. So I started taking this cold and flu medicine, and I isolated myself and I started to take rest. So some of the symptoms I had were extreme fatigue, drowsiness, sore throat, and cough. cough. So the first few days I did have cough, but it only came when I was trying to talk or say any words. So if I did not talk at all, then I did not have any cough. So I did have sore throat and I was starting to lose my voice. The drowsiness could be due to the medicine as well. But I had extreme fatigue and it was very different. I had not experienced that kind of fatigue before. So after I had done all the necessary things I need to do, like reporting, and then I just told my close friends that I have been tested positive, then I just focused on resting, and actually I didn't have any energy to do anything else. When I first saw the result, I had fear. I was quite scared. So I did know like people are testing positive, but when it actually happens to you and when you see that test result, you do feel scared. And at the same time, when you're scared, you know you have to do something, like you have to report, you have to find ways to isolate. So there's so many things going in your head, and also at the same time you don't know how the COVID is going to affect your body. You're scared and you're afraid maybe something bad is going to happen to you. So all those things were happening to me on the first few days. And regardless, we did isolate. So while isolating, I brought in my water bottle because I wanted to keep hydrating myself. And also it's good to bring some warm water in thermos so that you can drink it slowly, because that time I really needed warm water. And then the first few days it was like a emotional roller coaster ride. First 2 days especially, most of the time I was just tired. I had extreme fatigue. I just slept, I woke up, I had food. Fortunately my family members could bring me food, and then again sleep, wake up, just like that. So I couldn't really feel my body, and my mind was not that present. But after those 2 days, then suddenly my mind started to come back and I could start thinking. And when I was awake, then I would think a lot. I'll think of a lot of things about myself, about my life, and how I'm doing, things like that. At the same time, I would also think about why is this happening to me, especially because I'm such a cautious person. I take a lot of extra care. I'm one of those persons who wear 2 masks to go outside, sanitize all the time, avoid crowded areas. So, and then I still got contracted with virus, but people who go around a lot, they still don't get contracted with COVID-19. So I was just thinking a lot, and then just started getting depressing. Yes, so that was the procedure. And then I would feel tired again, and then I would sleep, and then take medicine, wake up. So that was the routine for a few days. Because I did inform some of my close friends. They were always texting me to know about my symptoms and whether I needed any help and how I was feeling. So that time I was not fully awake, so I would just reply to them and go back to sleep. But after a few days, when my mind was coming back to me, and then I felt really grateful because they were really checking on me whether I was doing fine. And there was one time when I told one of my friends that I don't have cough medicine, and because my whole family was isolated, we couldn't leave our isolation place, which is our house, and because of the panic buying, I didn't have the cough medicine. So my friend was helping me to search all the online stores and see whether she can find any cough medicine online still that is in stock and that can be delivered to my house. So fortunately she did find it in Food Panda, the Panda Mart, and I was so grateful. So I told her it's okay, then I can order from there. And then she really helped me, checked all the website and search information for me, because I was so drowsy, I didn't have the energy to do this kind of things. So I was so grateful to my friends who were helping me. And also I was very fortunate that my dad and my brother were tested negative, because then I didn't have to worry about the house chores. They could do most of the things and also prepare food for us. So for people who are living by themselves, they may have to order the food and have no contact delivery. So that's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially the first few days. It's really challenging and it's really difficult. So after I was getting better, I was doing the rapid antigen test again. So after 5 days, the test showed a very thin line for positive, so which means the virus was getting less, and then I was recovering, but it still means positive. So I did continue to take rest and then drink lots of water, and then I tried to take in some fruits to get some vitamin C. And then the next day I tested again, and then I was tested negative, and I was so happy. And then it was like that moment, like I'm not going to die, the virus is going away, that kind of feeling. So I was very happy I got tested negative. And according to the government's rule, I still had to test negative for the 2 consecutive days. So the next day, which was my 7th day, I did test again and I was negative again. Then I had fulfilled my isolation requirement and I was free to leave my isolation facility. So now I'm going to talk about the recovery part, even after testing negative. So my body was not fully recovered. I still had the fatigue, the drowsiness, and a little bit of cough. And I thought I'm just recovering, so it will take time. Just like when I get cold or flu, I don't get well just in one day. It just takes time for those symptoms to slowly disappear. So that's what I thought. And then after I tested negative for the 2 consecutive days, the next day suddenly I started having running nose. And the running nose was like continuous. It was very watery and it lasted for the whole day. I was still continuing to take the medicine. So next day, suddenly it was all gone again. And then I started having dry coughs. So it was very difficult when I cough. And before I did have cough when I tried to speak, right? But now just sitting still, I started coughing, dry coughs. So those symptoms were changing, and it's like I was getting new symptoms again, but I was still tested negative. So I was a little bit confused. And then one day, there was a day where early in the morning, I woke up because of physical pain. Felt my legs were very painful. So the pain continued a lot. So I was just telling my friend, I'm having this physical pain and it's really unbearable. And I have never experienced this kind of muscle pain before. So that's when my friend was searching and asking around, and she told me that I was having post-COVID symptoms. And this was the first time I heard the word post-COVID symptoms. Because previously when I was learning about COVID and the symptoms, then I was just, reading it online about what you may have, what kind of symptoms you may have when you have COVID-19. But I never knew there was a post-COVID symptoms as well. So that means even after you're tested negative, you're going to continue having the symptoms. Can be muscle pain, can be fatigue, can be sleep related. That's when I knew, oh, this is what I was having. That's why I was having the coughs, the running nose, and still the muscle pain. And also I think the muscle pain is due to the fact that the first few days I was just on my bed. I was either sitting when I was awake, but when I was drowsy and tired, then I just slept. So for the first few days, most of the time I was just lying down and my muscle did not move much. So I think that's why after recovering, I suddenly had this serious muscle pains. It was in my hamstrings. So I just continued taking the medicine and I continued to take rest, and then I started moving a little bit more with my legs. I just walked around my room, and I also used the massage gun to massage my muscles and the joints so that they will feel much better. But still for 3 days I was not able to sleep at night because of muscle pain, because it was so painful. I could not bear it, so I just took the painkiller and then I went to bed. So only the nights that I took the painkiller I was able to sleep. And the strange thing was during the daytime it did pain, but the pain was still bearable. But at night the pain would be really unbearable. I have done exercising, I have tried sports, but I have never felt this kind of pain before. So it was very, very painful, and I was a little bit confused as well. And because of the pain, it was affecting my sleep. So in the morning I would be sleep deprived. So only the time after I took the painkiller, then I could fall asleep, but it was still not a very good sleep. So it was like I was trying to recover, but I was not able to get sleep to recover. So yes, it was quite troublesome. But after continuing to move around and continuing to massage my hamstrings, it did get better, and now the pain is all gone. I would still say I'm not fully recovered because I do have some discomfort in my throat and I'm coughing at times, but it's not so frequent. But other than that, I did not get high fever. I did have high temperature, which was higher than what my body temperature is, but I didn't get high fever. Now I don't feel that much drowsiness. I'm gaining my energy. The first few days, because I didn't have energy, I couldn't do anything at all. And after the 3 days, I was gaining a little bit energy, but I had no mood to do anything. So I love watching movies and shows, but that time I did not want to watch anything at all. And I love reading books as well. I had so many of my books next to me for isolation, but I could not read. When I opened the pages, it was just so the words were not so clear, so I just decided to not do it at all. When I was almost negative and I got negative results, then that's when I was getting energy. But because my mom was still tested a little bit positive, she still had the thin line, so I was still isolating myself on those days as well. So on those days I tried to find some shows that are funny and I could watch, and I love watching the Kapil Sharma shows. So that's when I watched a lot of Kapil Sharma shows and started to feel happy again. So I don't think I could fully recover on the 7 days, and now it has already been 14 days. So I do have most of my energy back, but I don't think I have 100% recovered. I do have some discomforts left and some slight symptoms. So all the symptoms I had during this period, I think they are mild symptoms, because for severe symptoms like high fever, shortness of breath, or difficulty in breathing, then I think you have to immediately go to the hospital, go to the emergency room. So if your family members have those symptoms, then I think you should really take them to the emergency room. For me, I had coughing, running nose, and I did have headaches as well. Yes, I did have headaches. My head was aching the whole time I was recovering. These are all mild symptoms which are similar to flu, but the fatigue is really severe. And for this, I think you can isolate yourself at home, and you can recover by taking rest and taking medicine. And there are people who are asymptomatic, which means even you are tested positive, you won't have any symptoms at all. So for me, I had mild symptoms, but it was still too much for me. So now I have most of my energy back, and I am quite grateful that I can get this energy, because I'm able to do things I like. If I want to read a book, I can do it. If I want to watch something, I can do it. If I want to exercise, I can do it. And also if I want to make a video, I can do it. So I'm very grateful, and I think this experience really made me think a lot about myself, my health, and whether I was really taking care of my body. So now every time I wake up and I'm able to move my body, I always feel so grateful. And so now I'm focusing on taking care of my health, my body, and also my mind. So I just want to give healthy food to my body, and I want to give more movement so I will not feel physical pain. And I am also very grateful that I was able to overcome this, because to some people COVID does not affect them at all, but to some people it really affects them a lot. At the same time, I could be grateful to the close people around me who were so caring, and they provided a lot of support, and my family members as well. So actually I have never been in quarantine or isolated before, because since COVID-19 started, I have been in Hong Kong, and I have not gone anywhere out of Hong Kong. So the isolation itself was a very different experience for me, because I just stayed in my room whole time, and I only went to use the bathroom when my family members were not around. So after the isolation was done, then I was very grateful that I actually could move around in space. So even just coming out to the living room and being able to just go down the building, it felt like a great thing. You know, you had this fresh air and you have open space. So it is a different feeling. So now I'm very grateful for the fact that I have the freedom to move around. Yes, and I also learned that it is really important to put your health first. So even though we have so many other things that take up most of our time, including our work, the things we need to do, but if your body is not well, then actually you can't do anything at all. So first thing is we have to prioritize our health, and then everything else will come after that. If you're well, then you'll be able to do the things you like, you will be able to meet people, you'll be able to build a relationship or keep your relationship. But if your body is not well, then you'll not be able to do anything at all. So I think that's what I've learned through this experience. So for people who are still isolating themselves and they're fighting the COVID-19 right now, I just want to say to take care, and then take a lot of rest. And if you have mild symptoms, at first it's very scary, but just know that you can recover. And yes, just take care of yourself. Get a lot of rest. And for people who are asymptomatic and they don't have any symptoms, but they're tested positive, then I will just like to say, please be responsible. If you're tested positive, then it would be great to isolate yourself, because even though you don't have any symptoms and it is not affecting your health, but if it's spread, then the other people's body may react differently. And for people who don't have COVID-19, then I'll just say take care of yourself and take all the possible precautions to keep yourself safe, because you don't know how it's going to affect your body. Maybe you're going to be asymptomatic, but maybe you're going to have those symptoms and it's really difficult. So it's best to protect yourself. And that's all I want to say in this video. So thank you for watching. Bye for now. So the Hong Kong government have and it's also good to bring what happened to my throat? I love watching movies and